We have a very special guest in studio today. He is the Director of Business Development at Hanson Tree Service and Environmental Resources, the great and powerful JT Thomas. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks
What
for
an
coming on.
introduction.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't get something like that every day, so this is really cool.
You
Well,
should
dude,
put that
this
on
is-
your signature, the great and powerful.
Great and powerful.
Yeah.
I'm fired up.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Well, we're really happy to have you here. You've got a tremendous story, and just thought it was something that I wanted to get you on and hear all about it, because we've talked a handful of times, but I haven't, it's been a while, and just wanted to catch up and thought we'd love to get your story out there. So, JT, for the people out there that don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Wow, that is a broad question that I'm happy to answer. How do you want me to start? Is there anything particular you want me to?
No,
favorite
whatever
color, whatever.
We've got an hour to an hour and a half to just go through all this, whatever you want to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would say that I am a standard St. Louis kid. Born and raised in St. Charles, Missouri. Had two loving parents, have a sister, and played sports growing up. The classic soccer baseball combination. I mean, you could just throw a stone and find somebody who had that same kind of upbringing as well. Went to public school, had fun. I went to Francis Howell North for all the St. Louis people who have to ask, who want to know where I went. And then from there, went to Mizzou my freshman year. Wanted to go into nursing because I really enjoyed helping people. That was my backup because being a professional baseball player for the Cardinals just didn't work out.
Huh?
It didn't. It's really tough to.
It's a tough grind.
It is, especially when you're 12 years old and realize that you're like, okay, what else can I do?
Yeah.
Then discovered Mario Kart and Natty Light and Poor Study Habits, and I think that's something that
Some drunk driver.
yes,
That's a great
Played a
game.
lot of drunk driver in college.
Oh my gosh, who was your character?
Toad.
Toad?
Yoshi.
Yoshi?
Yeah.
I was Peach. Peach was my girl.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it was just the aerodynamics of her hair or what, but I think she just had that slight little ability to outmaneuver those Goombas.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where I guess the turning point of where my real story and biggest life impact so far happened, because my academics were awful. I had a 0.7 GPA. And my parents said, hey, we're not going to support these kind of behaviors, so you're coming home. I couldn't argue, couldn't say, no, keep me here, let me waste your money.
Right.
That wasn't in the conversation whatsoever, and ended up going back to the community college. And believe it or not, when your social life diminishes, your grades improve.
Right.
That's
It's crazy how that happens. Really crazy.
correlation does not infer causation, but we can see some data.
Yeah. I was one of those as well. Thankfully I went into college with, was it 24 credit hours? Because if it wasn't, I would not have been eligible to play baseball after my freshman year, after my first semester freshman year. It was bad. I think I had a 1.0 GPA, not quite a 0.7, but 1.0 GPA. So you beat me there.
Yes, a race to the bottom. Not a win that I would.
Not one we're bragging about,
Right.
but yeah.
No, not this time. But the school, I ended up wanting to switch to business because those kind of courses interested me a little bit more. Like, I can't go into nursing. It was a little bit of a just being honest with myself, saying I couldn't handle this science and skill set of these classes needed. So let me try business. And that's no knock on it, because I found out that just being in business in general takes a lot of work as well. But the classes were more interesting and more fun. Professors were more interacting and engaging, and said, okay, I like this. Grades started going up, and I had to support my way through college. And my parents were divorced, and so they said, hey, if you're going to be going to college, you're going to have to support yourself. And so I ended up working at Ruby Tuesday, 4-star establishment, had all the fun there, saved up money.
Bottomless fries, baby.
That's Red Robin.
Oh,
No, the croutons.
Shit. Oh,
The
okay.
croutons.
The salad bars.
The salad
bar.
bar.
and
Okay.
sliders.
Man, those
Okay,
croutons,
all
those homemade, they were so good.
Right. I'm
They're
thinking
really
Red
good.
Robin. Right. Okay. Sorry.
That's well, ruby and red. They're
Yeah.
both a different shade.
Yeah, different shade.
Same, but different. And there was one shift in particular that caught my attention. And I was doing my side work. I was putting away glasses. And all of a sudden, I was lightheaded for about 5 minutes. And you're into jujitsu and those kind of aggressive sports and combat and things like that. And you can notice when things aren't right. And that was a moment where I said, hold up, something's going on. And I had no medical history leading up to this. I'm very fortunate. I had a broken arm. Okay, who hasn't?
Right. Yeah.
And so there was no reason for me to even think anything below the surface. And my dad said, go to a doctor, get checked out. So I did, and everything looked fine. Clean bill of health so far as I knew. And they said, well, you look okay. Let's do a blood test to see if there's anything underlying under the surface that we can't necessarily point out. And got the labs done. A couple days later, got a call back from the office. And it happened to be the day that I was going to be a server, like server training. I was a host, wearing my sweaters, having fun. But the service is where
you make the real money.
That's where you make the real money. So fill up all those iced teas.
Yeah.
And so I got this number, a call. I didn't have my doctor's number saved.
Yeah.
So
Random phone number. Yeah.
Random phone number. And growing up, again, I was a very obedient child. If you don't know the number, don't answer it. If they really want to get to know you or get a hold of you, they'll leave a voicemail. I said, great. So my alarm was going off. The phone was calling me. I was a mess. And then my dad called and said, hey, you need to call your doctor right now. So I did. They said, hey, John. Again, this is when they call me John. I go by JT, doctor's office. Yeah, they're one of those people that can call me John.
Sure.
So we got your lab results, and you shouldn't even be able to walk because of your hemoglobin level.
Oh, wow.
And which means I was severely anemic, low hemoglobin, and I had no idea what that meant. And if I'm on the phone, I'm usually walking and talking.
Yeah.
That's also kind of baseline human behavior. Right. And so they said, well, there could have been an error. Let's have this lab done again. Had the exact same test done. Exact same results came. Said the odds of this happening, both errors, both times, is astronomical. Welcome to Mercy Hospital. Yeah. That's where I had to get emergency blood transfusion. So I had 3 pints of blood. And a couple tests later said, oh, your kidneys are not functioning. They're at less than 10%. And generally, when you go to the doctor, for a cough or something, your lungs, if you have a fever, it's something you can tell. You notice, when to go to the doctor. But your kidneys don't cough. And it's a silent killer. It's actually one of the top 10 killers of Americans is kidney disease. And a lot of it goes undiagnosed, untreated, whether it be the resources unavailable or just the lack of knowledge. And at this time, I was just turning 20.
I know isn't one of the signs of like kidney failure and all that jaundice, and you start turning yellow? Is that with the kidneys, or is that something different?
So that's the liver.
That's the liver. Yeah.
But still, there's identifying things that you can be like, okay, I need to get looked at.
Yeah.
Right. But with the kidneys,
if
you wouldn't have gotten lightheaded, you would have just continued to live life like normal.
Correct.
And who knows what could have happened.
Yeah. Right? And at this time, I had just turned 20 years old. So think about where you guys were at age 20.
Yeah.
Right.
What were you doing?
Just trying to have someone in my fraternity buy beer so we could go drink that night, and just worried about where we were going to party. And at college, that's where I was going to class.
Keg stand in baseball.
Keg stands in baseball.
Yeah. So that's the standard thought process. And that's how it should be.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not your health and potentially a life-threatening condition is not at the front of your mind. So I got these labs done, got the results, and I had a doctor come in and say, you're going to need a transplant. So my kidneys were half the size they should be, functioning at less than 10% and about 90% scarred. And this is for me I had no idea. I had no idea that this was accumulating in my system. There was no warning signs.
Do they figure out like a cause for that, or
Yeah, is there like is it a genetic thing? Is it like, was there something like, yeah, were they able to figure out what caused it?
That's the fun thing about kidney diseases, and there could be multiple reasons for it or multiple causes. So I was officially diagnosed with focal segmental glomerulosclerosis.
Say that 5 times fast.
No thanks.
Yeah.
But after hearing enough about it and
Yeah.
learning about it, it becomes familiar.
Sure.
So for me, there was no initial pause saying, hey, you drank a lot, so you have bad kidneys. That wasn't the case. What I speculate and hasn't been proven is when I was a kid, I had chronic strep throat, and the strep throat virus hangs out in the kidneys. So maybe years built up caused it to hit that tipping point where kidney shut down. And from there, I was prescribed dialysis 3 times a week for 4 hours a session.
For the people out there that don't know what dialysis is, inform us.
Sure. Dialysis is a procedure or a process generally done. It can be at a facility or at home where you're hooked up to a machine and the machine itself acts as your kidneys. So what it does, it filters out toxins, it filters out fluids. It just does the jobs of a kidney.
So is it pulling? I'm assuming it's pulling blood out of you and going through this machine and getting pumped back into you. Is that how it works, or how does that? Am I wrong there?
No, that's correct.
That's
so
right. Okay.
First I had a catheter in my chest where they would hook up the blood to go out,
Okay.
get cleaned, come back in. So it was a 4-hour process. So it's not done quickly, and that way it doesn't create as much stress on the body. But then eventually it moved to a fistula in my wrist. So what they did is they sewed a vein and an artery together to create almost a mega highway for blood. So the catheter in the chest has a high risk of infection because this goes right into my heart. So taking showers, I have a lot of plastic wrap. I think I probably could have invested into Ziploc with the amount of plastic wrap I used and created this little makeshift bandage where I could
So you don't
shower.
get water and stuff in it. Yeah.
Correct. So the high risk of infection, that was reduced by having this procedure done. And yeah, still, I was doing that. So 12 hours a week while still going to school, while working, while maintaining a social life, while being a friend, while being a son, all of these things, it got exhausting.
Now, since the kidneys weren't working properly, and you're going, did you come out feeling better after going through dialysis, or was it something that just because now your body's actually filtering out all the toxins and everything that you need, did you come out feeling better after dialysis, or was this something that just completely knocks you on your ass, kind of like what you hear with people that take chemotherapy?
Yes, so it is not to the level of chemo, but I was knocked on my ass. I was going in the mornings. I would start at 6:30 in the morning, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then I would do Sunday evening was my schedule. So there was more things I had to do throughout the day. Fortunately, I had youth and age on my side because I was the only one, 20 years old.
Yeah.
All the other people in those chairs were 70s, 80s, overweight, diabetic. Some people had missing limbs. I had a couple people that I would see on a weekly basis ended up passing away because they weren't eligible to receive a transplant because they're still waiting for a transplant too. But realistically speaking, unfortunately, they prioritize someone who's a little bit younger on the waiting list compared to someone who's older.
I mean, as they should. You still have your whole life ahead of you to live. They're on the way out anyway.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I mean,
that was the reality of my situation. And I would have all these people would reach out to me, say, how can I be a donor? And this was a time when social media wasn't as prevalent as it is today and utilized as much of a tool as it is today. So that's how I would let people know of updates on my health, everything like that.
This is what, like 13 years ago? Roughly?
Yeah. So it was 2012. So this whole time period was from 2012 to 2014. So you didn't have all the Instagram influencers and viral
There was
posts.
social media, but it was not nearly to the level it is today. I mean, like I remember, I think I got Instagram like freshman year of college, maybe, but like I never really used it too much.
no, I mean, I think it was 2012 was when Instagram came out because I remember being in pro ball. I was out in Bakersfield, California when I downloaded it. started posting for the first time.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just Instagram wasn't
What it is? Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely
you
not.
know,
It was
I mean, it's
brand spanking new.
you know. But yeah, like you're saying, there weren't the influencers out there, and yeah. Okay, so what was next? So you were. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I forgot where we were.
You're fine.
Talking about updates on
updates on social
Updates.
media.
Okay, yes, that's how we got
And one thing that I wish I would have done was be more honest about how bad things were and how depressed and how to the point of suicide,
Really?
suicidal thoughts I was, because I saw through Facebook, through Instagram, all the people that I grew up with for 18 years graduating from college, getting their diplomas, saying that should be me. They're getting married. That should be me. They're getting their jobs. That should be me. So comparison was unfortunately a very heavy presence in my life, because I shouldn't be here. I'm 20 years old.
Yeah, why me?
Why me?
Yeah.
Why me? And I had, fortunately, the type of person that I was growing up is I liked people. I liked people, making people feel good, making them laugh, whatever the case may be. Maybe I was a class clown, whatever. But I had enough people who saw my condition, saw my situation, asked to reach out to see how can I become a donor. And so I probably had 24 people, friends and family, reach out, try to go through the testing, and for one reason or another, they were turned away. Because there are a lot of
24 people willing to give you a kidney.
That's
correct.
Amazing.
Speaks to the person that you are. Got that many
crazy.
people wanting to.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
I still don't know what I deserve to have that kind of outpouring of love and support and encouragement. But again, it's kind of got each person that would go by, be turned down. They'd be rejected. They'd be turned down. So you get numb to it. You get, people will say, hey, I'll pray for you. You get numb to it. I know it's coming from a good point, or a good place, I should say. But when you're sitting in that chair and you don't know when your life is going to change for the better, you could die at any moment, because 17 people a day die waiting for a transplant, which is an incredible statistic. But I had a friend of mine reach out who, we weren't the closest of friends. We had overlapping friend groups. I actually helped her out, helped her dad pour concrete in their backyard, in their patio. She reached out and said, hey, I got your number from Greg, which I already had her number, but hey, how do I become a donor? And at the time, she currently still lives in Spokane, Washington. I'm in St. Louis. I'm thinking, okay, here's just another person I can send this information to.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. Literally had that same kind of thought.
Like, oh, okay, maybe just sending it off like, oh, this isn't the, you're not super excited that this is the one, right?
Right.
Okay.
Put me in a room of 100 people and say one person's going to save your life, I would never have picked her. It would have taken me 99 tries. I wouldn't have picked her. But what I didn't realize is that before she even reached out to me, or she even sent me that message, she saw a kidney transplant take place. She consulted with her friends and family, and her family were in the medical industry as well. I think her stepdad was a vascular surgeon, mom was a PA, and they all told her, no, don't do it. What if your kid needs one? And when you're in the position of having your life needing to be saved, having a hypothetical situation, having more precedence, it's a little discouraging.
Sure.
Saying that kid's not even here.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even alive yet. I'm here now. And so she defied their recommendations. She said, there's a God, this is a God thing. And I felt compelled that I needed to do this, and stuck to it. And again, this is all before she even reached out to me. Like, what kind of person does that? Someone who I hadn't talked to in 3 years, literally no contact, no social media, no text messages, nothing. And so things slowly started to move forward, gain momentum step by step. And I had learned not to get my hopes up, because again, at any moment she could be turned down, because they have very strict qualifications to be a living donor, which a fun fact is that, you don't have to lose your life in order to become an organ donor. People see on their driver's license, check the organ donor box. They don't realize, well, I don't have to lose my life to give somebody else life. So a kidney and, as you mentioned earlier, a liver are the two organs that you can still be alive and donate a portion to.
Well, doesn't the liver grow back? You take a piece of it?
It does.
Yeah, that's what I
Yep.
thought. Yeah.
It's a regenerative
Right.
tissue.
It's crazy. But kidney does not do that, correct?
Correct. And some people are born with one. So you only really need to have one to survive, except if you're born with one, it's a little bit larger to compensate for the balance and the homeostasis in the body. And so my body ended up just absorbing my native kidneys because they weren't being used. So the momentum keeps building. And she ended up getting to the point where she flew out from Spokane to St. Louis for the final testing. I'm still on dialysis. I'm still waiting, still set to be here for the rest of my life if necessary. That was the mentality that I had and the mindset. And then she texted me with this sticky note that this was at the end of May, and it just had June 24th written on it. I'm like, I knew.
That's incredible.
That was the date of the surgery. And so what I did is like, okay, she is going to save my life. What can I do to help her out during this time where she's going to be recovering? She's going to be away from family, away from her home. So I set up a secret GoFundMe without her knowing to cover, those expenses. At the time, my uncle was a chief pilot at Southwest Airlines, so he got her a plane ticket, to and from for the surgery. And in less than 24 hours, I raised $2,200 to help cover rent, utilities, everything needed so that her recovery could be as easy as possible. It was like, holy cow. These people who I grew up with are like, I can't donate this, but I can
Help with
donate here. Right. And, I had people who I'd known since kindergarten who I hadn't talked to in a few years, $250 donation. Because I'm just saying, okay, I'm going to get a couple $5, $10 donations, whatever. These people really showed me the kind of impact that I had on their lives and the lengths that they were willing to go to help my donor. And that's something that, I can never repay financially or, literally in my life.
So, so you have she has the surgery, has one of her kidneys removed. They put it in you. What's next? What's that recovery like?
I'll tell you this. I was on dialysis for 2 years, 4 months, and 13 days for a total of 1,464 hours, which if you break that down is 61 entire days. So I had 2 months of my life was spent sitting in this chair. And I got used to feeling a certain way, feeling bad, feeling fatigued. It was almost like I was living life on a low power mode on your phone. Still working, but very limited. And you get used to it, you get accustomed to it, and your body adapts. As soon as I woke up from that surgery, the first thing I said, I will never forget this, is people feel like this all the time and they still complain. That was my first.
You just felt better immediately.
Immediately. It was a light switch was turned on. Wow. Thinking, this is what I was missing. This is how it feels to be normal. I mean, I hadn't felt this way in actually probably close to a decade because of the slow degeneration of my kidneys over time.
You just got used to it.
I just got used to it. And so that was the initial kind of thought and feeling. And little side note is, because I had a catheter in and, that would take care of the, the urine and stuff like that. And so the first time that I used the restroom after getting my transplant, because when I was on dialysis, I didn't pee once.
Whoa.
There was no urine production.
Wow. It's crazy.
Because I would go on this machine and they would take the fluids off. And granted, there'd be times where I would lose 11 pounds in a span of 4 hours, which is an excruciating process. But I hadn't had the urge to pee in 2.5 years. So I'm walking over to the bathroom and I almost miss. I didn't make it to the toilet. I'm like, this is a new experience.
Yeah. Got to potty train yourself.
I did. I did. And one thing about dialysis is that I was very limited in travel and seeing family and visiting, especially my grandparents. And that's one of those things that you could have scheduled. I could have gone to Texas and scheduled dialysis, but if I'm going to visit family for a limited time, why would I want to spend 4+ hours
Hooked up
where they can't visit me? They could, but it's like,
To do.
what are you going to do? Play Scrabble?
Yeah.
The Netflix can't, the Wi-Fi is not good enough to, get Breaking Bad. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
So the very first trip that I went to was to visit my grandparents down in Texas. They were in an assisted living facility. My grandfather was impacted by Alzheimer's and dementia. And that was step one, was being able to visit them and seeing my grandfather for the last time. But that also allowed me to go back to school and go back to the University of Missouri and finish my pursuit of a degree. So I'm thinking, oh man, I went through all this life experience in the medical industry and dialysis. I'm going to go back and maybe become a nephrologist. So science was back on the radar, back on the forefront, because I lived it. I lived the topic of the things I would learn in class.
Yeah.
But just as dialysis was an isolating experience, going back to college at the age of 23 with nobody around me. I'm at this school with 30,000+ other kids who have not shared the same experience that I have. So there was a lot of isolation. I would meet people. I'd made friends. But I think there's something important about a shared life experience that can help people connect. You guys work in the real estate industry, so it's you guys can just talk shop and say, hey, this is what I experienced. What are you doing? Hey, what's going on? Updates.
And talk about your problems with other people that can understand them. You
Right.
know, I mean, that's one of my favorite things about getting together with other people in the industry is like, there's someone I can kind of bitch about my problems to who kind of actually get it, and they can relate, like, oh man, I had one like that too. We did this, this, and this. And it's like, you get like some sort of relief from that.
It's a shared burden is a lesser burden or something like that.
Something like that.
There's like that phrase. And so I didn't have that at college. So people, I would tell people about my experience and be, oh my gosh, holy cow, I can't imagine that. And these kids, they're kids, they're 18, 19, maybe 20 years old, and they don't even think about this kind of stuff. But with that, again, I had to be a self-sufficient individual. I paid for my school. I worked weekends at a steakhouse. Are you guys familiar with Columbia?
Mm-hmm.
So do you know CC City Broiler Steakhouse?
I do not.
It's off of Forum, right by the movie theater there, Stadium and Forum. But I was very blessed and fortunate to work there and paid for my education, paid for my rent, being financially independent there. Ended up running into, actually, let me backtrack. So after you receive a transplant, you have to take medications, anti-rejection medications. So your body is a wonderful machine that always is looking for threats. And I have somebody else's DNA in me. I have an organ, a foreign object that my body is constantly and continuing to attack.
And you're still on that today?
Correct.
Okay.
For the rest of my life.
Okay. Or
for the rest of the life of the transplant, I should say. And so I take this cocktail of immunosuppressants. So my immune system is suppressed a little bit. I mean, as the name says, so I get sick a little easier. But I was working one day. This is just a serendipitous thing. This is a God thing. And, going through this experience is hard for me as an individual not to have faith being restored. But I shared with my coworkers when I first got on board, that I'm a kidney transplant recipient. I'm going to school, earning my degree, pursuing a Bachelor of Arts in biology. And one Monday, it was a Monday in May, that I picked up a random shift because you can come in, if you come in at 4:30, after all the prep work is done, someone wants to come in, they can pick up a shift, and someone wants to go home, cool. So as long as you're there at that time, good to go. Well, we had this separate room that was used for conferences and dinners and parties that you could reserve. And the server who was working it said, hey, JT, they're talking about transplants in here. You should go say hi. I'm thinking, twist my arm.
Yeah.
Let me I walk around this back room, walk in, and I see the name of one of the medications that I take on a daily basis. Hold up.
Weird. Yeah.
Weird.
Mhm.
Of all the people, of all the industries, of all the medications, they're here on this night on the day that I pick up a shift. What's going on? So I went over to the rep there and introduced myself, say, I take that. And as a 20-something-year-old kid,
Yeah. They're like,
Is-
you?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That was his exact response. Said, yeah, I'm a kidney transplant recipient, student at Mizzou. This is working here, pay for my stuff. And at that time, they were building a patient ambassador program. And said, hey, we would love to have you. After exchanging email, stuff like that, said, how would you feel about being an ambassador for our company? So I would be able to go and travel. I traveled the United States while a student. School was a priority. As a student while in school, traveling to different dialysis centers, I spoke with patients, surgeons, nurses, people in the pharmaceutical industry. I was able to be a ambassador representative at Capitol Hill up in DC, talking with congressional staff members about passing legislation. And it was the most incredible experience ever.
Wow.
And being able, and that was the first time I got to meet other transplant patients.
So you're around the people that gone through a similar experience.
It,
Huh.
Did you run across many that were your age?
two.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so not a lot.
Yeah.
Not a lot my age, but we did go to the Transplant Games of America, which is a biannual multi-day event highlighting just the entire transplant field, which is going from donors, recipients, donor families. So the people who have a child that loses their life and they decide to donate the organs to save others, those are the people that are held in the highest regard. But it's just a day for people to get together, play, compete in different sporting events like a 5K basketball, pickleball, just like your court here. They have ballroom dancing, golf, all this stuff just to glorify the process and the experience of the transplant journey. And got to witness that for the first time was a very unique thing. It was a whole new world was opened up to me that I had no idea existed.
Do you still participate in that?
So not as an athlete, but I will be next year. So
Okay. As an athlete or
as an athlete,
ballroom dancing?
I was getting fitted for an outfit for that, but they didn't have heels my size.
Gotcha.
So
Darn.
yeah, it was more of a length, not a height
Gotcha.
issue.
okay.
So it had to be custom made, and by the time that it
Yeah, I get it.
came to fruition,
Yeah.
it's out of my price
It's too
range.
bad.
So what are you going to be doing?
So I plan on running a 5K,
Sweet.
golf, pickleball, and basketball.
There
Those
you
are
go.
my top, and I'm going there for a medal because they do have medals. It's not just like a hey,
Right.
rah rah. Let's just.
You want that gold.
I want that gold.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, it's like okay, it's good for the community, but it's also good to compete.
Right.
Yeah. Why not?
It's like I was given a second chance at life. Let's see what this body's capable of. Let's glorify God and the opportunities that I've been given in this specific way. And that's just the coolest thing ever. So I was doing that. School's going great. I don't want to brag, but I went from a 0.7 GPA to a 2.7 cumulative GPA.
That's incredible.
Ended up with almost like a 3.7 my final semester.
That's awesome.
And so
Good for you.
thank you.
Congratulations.
It was one of the most, it took me 9 years to get a 4-year degree,
Hey.
but it doesn't say the timeline on those diplomas.
Right.
And I graduated in December of 19. Well, what happened spring of 2020 that
Yeah.
is like,
I
is
think
there,
there was something that happened
what?
globally that was
Yeah.
pretty big
What,
deal and kind of changed the economy and a lot of other things.
Was it a trade war with China, maybe?
There was a guy that ate a bat.
Something. Yeah.
I think he was doing something with a bat.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I was told. And that's the story I'm sticking with.
Yeah.
Well, I just graduated college and I have all this experience in the medical industry. And reaching out to my connections there and saying, hey, what kind of opportunities are available? Well, and then COVID happens and things shut down. And as someone who, for the first time, people cared about my health situation, from a we could get you sick perspective. Because in class, if someone was sitting next to me with the sniffles, all right, I'm going to get this for another 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So this was the first time that people were concerned about my health. They saw me doing well. They saw me, academically excelling, things like that. But I was in a position where I still need to pay for my medications. I need to have insurance. How can I afford these medications that keep me alive without a job? So I did what any college student would do. I took my ironing board, I took a tripod, I took my cell phone, I put on a suit and recorded a little 2.5-minute video saying, this is my experience. This is what I am interested in. If you think I'd be a value added asset to your operations, reach out. And I actually printed out my resume and pretended like I was, actually giving it to somebody. Put that on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, got shared over 100 and something times, got viewed 10,000 times. And a company called CareDX, so they specialize in transplant diagnostics, reached out, said, hey, this is cool. Let's talk. So I'm thinking, hey, I can work remotely, safely and earn a living, have insurance, get everything covered, and work and talk with people on a daily basis that have gone through my experience. It's great.
Sounds like a win.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like a win. It was. But I'm an ambitious individual. And so I wasn't in sales. Would love to have done sales, but you have to have 5 years experience. And I guess 10 years of life experience doesn't equate on a business level. And every quarter I would reach out to my manager, say, hey, what else can I do? How else can I add value to the company? Hey, I have some ideas. And they'll say, okay, yeah, we'll pass it along. Well, after 3 years of talking to the void and
nothing
happening, I decided, hey, I think I've hit my professional ceiling with this company and decided to look elsewhere. And again, another serendipitous event. So as stated earlier in my introduction, I'm currently the business developer for Hanson's Tree Service and Environmental Resource. I actually I've known the current president for 20 years and grew up with his cousins. So familiar with the family, familiar with the business to an extent. Ran into him at a local political event and he said, I have an opening in my company and I think you would fit well in the culture. I want to have a conversation. I said, yes. I knew nothing about trees and anything that they did. And so they had me on the product sales. So not only do we do tree work, full service tree company, but we also manufacture a premium mulch, compost, and bioengineered soils. So I dove headfirst into a brand new adventure, took a leap of faith. Again, it was another God thing that says, hey, this could be a good opportunity for you. And it's been a very rewarding experience so far.
It's great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, before we get into, I guess, kind of what you do now, but like going back to everything that you went through, you faced mortality at such a young age. How has this influenced how you look at like risks, challenges, life itself now?
Yeah. Facing your mortality at the age that I did, which a couple things that I didn't share, that I actually faced my own mortality 3 times in a span of 2.5 years. The first time was if I didn't get diagnosed, probably would be not here. The second time is, we're on dialysis. You don't have to not only be concerned about the fluids you drink, but you also have to be mindful of what you eat as well. And so there are 3 main things that I had to focus on was sodium, potassium, and phosphorus. All of these things, if consumed in a higher than recommended levels, could be detrimental. And so sodium causes fluid retention, has extra strain on your heart, Phosphorus, if consumed in higher levels, it leaches the calcium from your bones and they become brittle and painful. But where I had the issue was with potassium. So there was a day where I had elevated level of potassium, and the term for that is hyperkalemia. And it caused me to have a small heart attack, and I lost consciousness and split my chin open, face first on the concrete. I ordered the Tom Brady chin, but they couldn't really get that. But that was another time that I faced my mortality. And while also on dialysis, I'm on medications for blood pressure to help monitor that. And one that I was taking was called minoxidil, which interestingly enough is a primary ingredient in Rogaine. So one of the side effects was growth and darkening of facial hair. And as a kid who was 20 years old and couldn't grow a beard to save his life, if I could grow a beard, heck yeah, I'm going to take this medication. Well, they changed my prescription and didn't notify my insurance, and I ran out sooner than what my prescription should have. Ended up, my blood pressure rebounded. Had a blood pressure of 220 over, or it was like 205 over 128. Nearly had a stroke. Had to go to the hospital, and they pumped me through all these medications. And night, I brushed my teeth. Crazy. Fun fact about me, I brush my teeth at night. I'm in the hospital in a horizontal position all day, getting all these medications pumped into me to help lower my blood pressure. Well, I stood up, ended up having a seizure, coded, and that was number 3 times of facing my mortality. So going back to the original question and how I view life and risk and things like that is that I'm in not a hurried, but I know the value and I appreciate life and time a lot more than maybe other people my age, my peers, especially at the age of 20, 20 to 22. Again, not a lot of people have fortunately gone through that circumstance, but I'm a lot more patient too, because I understand, hey, maybe it's not a big deal. Maybe I can just kind of let this go. Maybe it's better for my peace and my sanity if I don't get involved in this altercation, whether it's verbally or physically or whatever. But also I live in that kind of middle ground where I realize even though I have this transplant and have this second chance at life, even if I take my medications, even if I get my labs done, even if I do everything right, it can still be taken away tomorrow. And so living with that kind of mentality, everything is a lot better. And, again, confronting the mortality is like, okay, now it's familiar. Now it's almost like a friend of mine. I've met it a couple times. We're familiar, we're acquainted. It's kind of like you and I. We've met a couple times. We see each other and we see what we're doing. But I know that if I'm here, death isn't here. And if death's here, I'm not here. So there's a lot more of internalized peace. But there's still a lot of things that I want to get done, a lot of things I want to do, like have a family and things like that, that keeps me moving forward. Saying, all right, I got a chance to do this.
That's great, man. Yeah, I mean, because you got most people measuring success, money, status, followers, but I mean, having lived through something way deeper, how do you define? What is your definition of success now versus what it was prior?
Ooh. I think for me, success has evolved. At a time in my life when I was working at, upgraded from Ruby Tuesday to Olive Garden, I viewed success as, or after I worked at Olive Garden to a different job, I viewed success as not having to ask somebody what kind of salad dressing they want. Like, that is my definition of success in that moment. I was never a money-driven person, but for me, success looks like this: a happy and healthy family. And that's something that's a enduring process, and it's a lifelong endeavor. It's something that I can look at And I don't know if I'll attain it one day, but it's something that I can always work for. And success is something that it's subjective to everybody.
It's always going to change.
It's always going to change.
And it should.
Yeah. And that's what is the wonderful thing about success is that, hey, maybe success for me, with the company that I'm at is maybe it is a higher paycheck to help. Again, that higher income will lead to a healthier, happier family because I'm able to provide more and be that person, be the man of the house and raise a respectful son or daughter and take care of my wife. And I think that's what it looks like is a healthy and happy family. And that's something that I can look back to and look forward to. And just that's what fills me with joy. And that's success to me.
Speaking to family, you're about to be a dad. Yeah?
I am.
That's
Exciting.
awesome. That's exciting, man. When's the due date?
January 21st.
Be here before you know it. Very
Yes.
nice.
I think today is week 20. So you just
Ooh, halfway.
halfway.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Are you waiting to be surprised or you know the sex already?
So we're doing next week. So this is one of the favorite things about my wife is that even though she's lactose intolerant, she will eat ice cream. And some of our first few dates, because at the time she lived in House Springs and I was in St. Charles, and our middle ground was Kirkwood.
Okay.
So we would go to Andy's.
Yeah.
And eventually I was like, you know what? Let me just put some Lactaid in my car. I like this girl.
That's good for you.
Let's have ice cream.
Yeah.
And so next week is going to be the anatomy scan, and we're not going to find out then, but we are going to have a small intimate gender reveal. And how we're going to do it is we're going to be pouring sprinkles onto a bowl of ice cream.
Okay.
Perfect.
And so it's so exciting. I tell her every day, but I don't think she gets enough credit for what she's done and what she continues to do for the family, because it took us a few months to get pregnant, which is an interesting thing is that's a very common circumstance with people our age.
Yeah. Crazy.
It's like it takes a few months, and seeing the emotional toll that it took on her, because it was heartbreaking every time I would see a negative pregnancy test. When I was a kid,
Yeah, that's what
what I hope
want.
for.
You hope for.
Right.
That's
Well,
what I
it's
hope
crazy.
for.
You spend pretty much your whole life, whenever you start having sex, you're just hoping to not get her pregnant. And then there's that day where, that time where you kind of flip the switch and you're hoping for a different result. And it's like, well, I thought that this would be a lot easier,
Right.
Like we're always taking all these precautions and then you have several months go by and you're like, how is it not happening? I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing and, they're not getting pregnant. And it's crazy because it's so common now. It really is. How many people do we know that have had that have had difficulty getting pregnant, or they've had to go through IVF, or have just been told that it might not happen for them, and it's heartbreaking.
It is.
Especially for when it happens to good people.
Right.
Because I know a lot of good people
They can't.
that can't, or it's taken them years even to conceive. And I think that's something that I root for, because I had to switch my mindset from comparing myself to others to just rooting for people. And it took some time, but man, I got some friends doing really cool things. And when I have friends who get together with good people and they have a kid, it is one of the things that just brings me joy as a friend. It's like, man, that is awesome. I have probably
Messing with this thing. Sorry.
no, it's okay. Well, I have like 3 or 4 relatively close friends who were all having kids at the same time, within a 6-month span. It's like, how cool is it for us to pursue this endeavor together?
Right.
Have somebody to
Talk to.
talk to.
Oh, yeah.
Again, something that I never had with dialysis or even my transplant thing is I don't really have anybody immediately in my network that has gone through the same situation. But this is a cool thing. This is, I want to be a dad more than anything. I had a great dad. I have a lot of friends who are great fathers and great examples. And this is something that, and, they're due a week before my birthday is the 28th of January.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, all right, we're going to have joint birthday parties.
Yeah.
There's going to be pizza. There's going to be And my
Ice cream.
Ice cream.
It's gonna be
Lactate on the side.
Lactate on the side. So that's going to be a really something that I'm looking forward to the most. Again, that's going to be success for me.
It's awesome.
Having a kid, being a dad.
Dude, you're gonna be a great dad. I can just tell right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a life-changing experience for both of us.
Yeah.
I mean, we've both got two, and it's every day's presents its own challenges, but like in some days are a lot harder than others. But I mean, that's life. You got to take the good with the bad.
And the one thing that you've already mentioned that you've learned and taken away and developed within yourself from what you went through is patience. And that's hands down the biggest thing that, it took having kids for me to learn is patience, because it is, it can be tough, but having that patience is the biggest thing. I think that's the biggest thing I've learned with having kids is patience.
I'd agree.
Yeah. I don't know if this happens for you or this is how you feel too, but like other people's kids, like at a restaurant, like,
absolutely,
get your kid under control.
Yeah.
And then it's like, then you have one. It's like, oh wait,
Yeah,
they're doing the best that they can.
Yes.
They're new to this too.
Yeah, like I remember, years ago, you hear a baby crying on an airplane or something. You're like, oh, come on, But now it's like, oh, yeah, I've been there. I know what that's like.
Yeah.
Poor guys. Like I get it. Oh, it's you don't even think about it. And honestly, you kind of get to a point, and I'm sure you've been there too. Like especially when they're really little and they're crying a lot. Eventually, they cry so much that it always bothers you a little bit. But like you don't hear it.
Kind of go numb to it.
You kind of get numb
Yeah.
to the screaming and the crying and the fits and stuff after it happens so often. But it's never great. But you can just feel for people whenever you hear them experiencing that on an airplane or at a restaurant or anything like that. It just doesn't bother you anymore.
No.
Yeah.
You're definitely used to it, and you're just at that point you're just like, man, feel bad for those parents.
Yeah.
You quit thinking about poor kid. Like, oh man, I feel for those parents.
You put a drink on your tab.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, hey,
Yes.
this is.
I will say one of the coolest things I think I've come across, and I'm going to start doing this. Maybe not so much now because my boys are 5 and 7. So that's weird to say 7.
Yeah, just turned 7,
just
right?
turned 7, yeah. But when was last year, 2 years ago, we were on a flight, and this woman had I'd say a toddler, and she packed these little plastic bags with like candy and things like that and was just like walking around and passing them out within like the rows around her. And just said, hey, this is my, and it's like had a little note, like if it was from the toddler, like, hey, this is my first flight. And I just want to say thank you for being patient with me as I navigate through my first flight on the plane. Here's some goodies. Hopefully this helps if I decide to get a little cranky. And I thought that was
awesome.
That's hilarious.
genius.
That's
It was
I
great.
love
It was awesome. And like it had like a granola bar in there. It had some fruit snacks. Who doesn't love a good thing of fruit snacks, right? Like, mouth watering just thinking about it. But it was awesome. It was the coolest thing I've ever experienced. And I was like, damn, I wish I would have thought about that when I've flown all the time with these kids. Now,
Yeah, it's a great thought.
now they're good. They love flying now. So
yeah, we took our youngest on a flight to and from Florida this past summer, and he did great on the flight there. Flight home was a little rough. He didn't.
they want to leave.
Well, both of my kids are not. They don't sit still. Like they don't. They gotta go. Like like my youngest. He's a year and 2 months now, and he's he's just wild. The kid just is. He's walking now, and he just gets into absolutely everything. His go-to things are he loves going into the bathroom on the first floor and sticking his hands in the toilet. And then his second favorite thing, or it might be his first favorite thing, is going to mess with the dog's water and food bowl and like splash in his water bowl or grab the food and try to start eating it. And I'm like, dude, can't do that.
He's got the dog in him.
Yeah, he's got the dog in him. Yeah, he's got that dog in him. Yeah, he's a character, man. But it's so fun, man. It's like, especially like when, at least, everything I've experienced so far, there's just always these firsts. That's so cool. Like my oldest right now, he's super into puzzles, and like he can put together these like 60-piece puzzles like all by himself at 3 years old. And I'm like, dude, this is like we just keep buying him puzzles because he like, as long as it's something cool that he likes, like a Spider-Man puzzle or
You know what's
you
next, right?
what
Legos.
Legos are next. Ooh,
Oh,
yeah, get me back.
That's where it
into
gets
Legos.
really fun.
I'm excited. Yeah, Legos, and then when they start playing video games, I haven't played video games in like forever. But that'll be kind of like a fun new experience to like get back. Because I was super into video games when I was like older or younger, but then after college, like I couldn't tell you. I mean, I've probably picked up my Xbox controller like twice in like the last 10 years. Honestly, if I wasn't using it for like Netflix, which I pretty much just used it for Netflix for years before I got a Roku.
Right. Well, seeing like we don't even have that, like, what, 5 years apart. Like, I didn't have the video games that you guys grew up with. I mean, I honestly, I never really got into video games.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Were you into video games as a younger kid?
I had the PlayStation, and
Yeah.
my games were Madden. And again, I played on easy mode.
Mhm.
I never played against anybody. And I would just play. I mean, I think it was like Madden 99, 2003 that had Marshall Falk on it,
Yeah.
and 2005 with Ray Lewis. But my wife and I just brought over the Super Nintendo
Oh.
from our
Ooh,
parents'
OG.
house. OG. So I'm like, we're playing Super Mario, and it says 1984, 1982. Like, this is it. I think some of these things that are just too hyper
40 years
realistic.
old.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I'm like, I don't know. Just give me a guy climbing down tubes, eating mushrooms, and
Yeah.
throwing turtle shells
Yes.
against a giant lizard. Like, that's
How much acid were these guys on when they created this game?
well, it's a Japanese guy with a with an Italian plumber. Like, that's diversity right there.
Yeah.
Played by a white guy like me. So it's like, all right, and it's a good time.
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
But yeah, I played a little bit of like NHL 2011, like NHL, like sports games
Yeah.
Mhm.
was my thing. I never really got into like Call of Duty or anything like that. But
I saw guys lose their baseball scholarships because of Call of Duty.
Yeah.
They would sit there and just play online for hours and hours and just like, I mean, they would pop an Adderall and they'd be playing for 24 hours straight. Not even go to class. Nothing. It was insane.
Yeah.
I'm just like, how? I'm watching. I'm like, this doesn't look fun. I don't know. That was just me.
Yeah, I mean, I got into Call of Duty for a while. I was never that good at it. There's only a handful of games that I felt like I was pretty decent at. Halo was one of them. I was really good at Gears of War, the original back in the day. And then I just, and then you get into, after post college, I just, I started the barbecue restaurant with my buddies, and that was, that consumed so much of my time. Then I got out of that, got into real estate, and I just never, and then I got into jiu-jitsu, and I just never had time for it. It's such a time commitment to get good at it. It takes, you got to put in so much time.
But being honest, I think also I had a little bit of motion sickness watching my buddies, just the screen going back and forth, like the movement of that. I was like, how do you guys not get sick from this? Like, just my stomach hurts watching this.
Yeah.
Motion sickness, sitting in a chair watching these guys play Call of Duty.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. Well, JT, faith has played a big role in your journey. I'm sure there was moments where you kind of talked about it earlier, but kind of questioned everything. But obviously, everything that happened to you. Obviously, I would imagine that's kind of solidified your your beliefs and everything.
yes, so I grew up standard Catholic family, and so that's where a moral root and religion was part of my life, and that's because it wasn't by choice. Growing up.
Yep.
And as I got older, I kind of wasn't as strong in the faith, and going into college, I had so much stuff going on. I didn't participate in church or anything like that. And then going through my waiting on dialysis and having people saying, I'll pray for you, I'll pray for you. Again, it was something that you kind of got numb to, kind of like a crying kid.
Yep.
It's like, okay, hey, thanks. Or if I had somebody reach out to become a donor, I'm like, okay, great, here you go, thanks. And I would be cordial and be appreciative. Yeah, it comes from a good place. And there was one specific evening that I will never forget, and this is what restored my faith. And, people may have their doubts and their opinions. I'm not trying to impose, that you have to believe this, that, and the other. But there was one particular evening working at Olive Garden and worked a double shift. And I lived with my dad at the time. And I was just ticked off. I was at my wits' ends. I had a bad, night, going through dialysis, no end in sight. There was no finish line. And for the first time, I really just talked and let it out. I had all of my emotions were bottled up. And that's something that I don't think is very healthy. And again, something that I wish I would have done is shared, at least post about saying, hey, I'm really frustrated. Hey, this is how I'm feeling. And so my dad and I talked until like 2:30 in the morning. This was on a Friday night going into a Saturday. And I said, why is this happening to me? This is unfair. Why did God do this to me? And so I went down into my room because, yeah, it's 2:30 in the morning. I'm tired. He's tired too. And I go down to my basement and there was no windows, which I don't know, technically is a fire hazard from a real estate perspective.
Not technically a bedroom. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a basement room that I happened to sleep in.
Yes.
So,
Sleeping room. Yeah.
Yes, it was pitch black. So I didn't know if it was 3 a.m. or 3 p.m. It would be pitch black in there. So I didn't.
Perfect for, being in your early 20s, sleeping
Yes.
in,
Oh my gosh. But I didn't say any Hail Marys or Our Fathers. I just had a conversation with God. I said, if you're real, prove it. I have all these people praying for me. If you exist, if you're part of this, prove it. Went to bed. Sunday evening was my dialysis. And it was one of those times where I had the most excruciating pain in my legs. I was immobile because they were taking so much fluid off of me. And it's like a Charlie horse times 1,000 all the way. It's not just at the calves, like the quads, everything I was immobile. And so I just said, God, please help me. God, please help me. God, please help me. God, please help me. And I would listen to music. I listened to, I'm a emo guy. I'm an emo fan. Like, give me some A Day to Remember. Give me some Blink-182, Mayday Parade, all that fun stuff. So I turned my music down, put it on pause. I didn't even know what song was playing. The nurse takes me off of dialysis. I actually had to cut it short, the treatment short, by like a half hour. Had a saline bag. I walked around just to stabilize and rebalance my fluid. And
let me guess, what song was playing?
Take a guess.
Have Faith in Me by A Day to Remember.
Yes.
No way.
I come back. I unlock my phone and it was, have faith in me. I said, I never let you go and I never will. And I was like,
goosebumps, bro.
Faith was exponentially restored. Like in that moment, it wasn't like one of those things where I had to quote any scripture. It was just like a lived experience where it was like, wow, okay, he's here. Let's do something. That rejuvenated because again, I'm 2+ years into this experience of just pain, suffering. Why me? Young kid. Why?
How much longer after that was the transplant?
Gosh, it was just a few months.
Wow.
It was, again, if she didn't, reach out and did that, at that time, go back to school, get my degree, come home, get a job at a time where not a lot of people had the opportunity to earn an income doing that. And at the time, I'm 27, at this point, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm not meeting anybody. I'm not, finding the love of my life. I'm living with my mom right now. It's not very cool as a 27-year-old kid. And actually, I'm 28 at the time because it was 2020. And I just prayed. I was on dating apps just for the social life, just to get out and meet people. I wasn't expecting anything. And I had a couple girls that I had gone out with like within this week. And one, her name was Beth, and who happened to live, I had my radius at not a fairly tight circle. I'm not trying to drive an hour to grab a coffee and be disappointed.
Right.
But again, I was praying, to say, hey, let me be the right person. Let me find the right person. And she happened to be at this women's event at the St. Charles Convention Center. And she was in my little radius. And let me backtrack. After I got my transplant and before I went to Mizzou to finish my degree, I chose to be baptized again and to announce to the world, Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. And so having this just life experience and being a patient person and knowing the results of what can happen with delayed gratification, I met this girl named Beth, got a coffee. And it was within the first couple messages on Hinge. I was like, hey, let's just get coffee. Let's just meet. And my expectation and all of my expectations on dating apps is we're going to have a nice time. In this moment, hey, this could be the only time I meet this person. Let's have it pleasant, go from there. Well, after having coffee with this girl, I heard God's voice saying, pay attention to this one. That's it. That was, at the time, there was like 3 other girls who I'd gone out with it that week. And after meeting Beth, said, pay attention to this one. And so she lived in House Springs. It was about a 40-minute drive each way, met in Kirkwood. And she was a woman of faith and family oriented. And she said, hey, do you want to go to church? I said, it's been a while, but okay. So ended up going to church again, having the Christ more present in my life and in our lives. And we actually made the decision to practice celibacy, while we were dating. And we were both kind of at the point where we're thinking, okay, this is the person for me. And again, celibacy is just a taboo topic nowadays, right, in a culture that's just hookup culture and, body counts and all that fun stuff. And we made the decision to, hey, let's hold off and wait until marriage. So ended up getting married on March 16th of 2024, and specifically March 16th because of the scripture John 3:16, because our relationship is rooted in Christ, and now our family and the family that we're growing is rooted in Christ, because we're praying for having a kid, prayed for that, and our prayers were answered because there was one day in I think it was April that she kind of had this feeling, and then she looked, she was driving to work and saw a rainbow in the sky, and a rainbow is a symbol of God's promise. And so that's, it's really hard not to have faith. And, just seeing the life that I've lived and the experiences that I've had, it would be foolish for me not to acknowledge a presence guiding me through this. The trials, the tribulations, the pain, the suffering, the agony, the victory. Maybe that's my purpose. Maybe the reason I'm on your podcast is because maybe by sharing my testimony and my experience, somebody else could be either going through a health circumstance and say, hey, that guy went through it and he did it the right way. Maybe I can get through it. Or maybe someone who's listening to this and maybe they're on the fence about returning to church, or maybe they have a poor perspective or image of people who follow Christ, and they listen to just my simple conversation, and they say, oh, maybe that's something worth exploring. Maybe there's something that happened in my life that I can't explain, or looking back, that can really lead me in the right direction. And I'm not the one to push any sort of beliefs on other people, because to each their own, but my life's more at peace because of it. Why would I want to leave that?
Right. Absolutely. Oh, that's awesome, man. Well, one of the things that we talk about on this show is like kind of, and with you becoming a new father, how this is kind of like a time capsule for us. If something were to happen to us, our kids can kind of look back and see like, oh, hey, this was my dad. This is what he thought. This is how he was and what he was all about. Using that same thought process, if you're looking at this and your son or daughter, whatever comes, what's one message, or what's something that if they were to watch this 18, 19, 20 years from now, what's one message you would want them to leave with?
Wow.
Just something we think about a lot. It's like, well, if anything ever happened to us, it's like our boys would have, a lot of hours,
hundreds of
hours of us. They would want to listen to every episode. I know I would. I'd love to go back and see what my dad was like in his early 30s. That'd be my dad's still alive today, but I don't. They had me in their late 20s. I don't remember what he was like in his early 30s, and it'd be cool to be able to look back and see what my dad was like at my age.
Yeah,
so that's kind of something we think about a lot.
Mine was about my age now when I was born.
I would tell my son or daughter, we call affectionately baby T, because we don't know if it's a boy or girl.
Yeah, baby T.
that before I knew you, I loved you. Before you arrived on this earth, you were already so loved, appreciated, supported. And I will do whatever it takes to continue that feeling and have you never question that once in your life. And whatever you want to pursue, I will support. Whoever you want to be, I will support. I love you. Let's have some pizza together.
There you go.
Yeah,
At our birthday.
Let's do it. One thing I've really admired about you, I've been following you for a long time now, and is your your dedication to your fitness. And I know you've done 75 hard numerous times. And is that something that you like post sickness, post transplant? Like you're like I've got kind of a new lease on life, and I need to take advantage of this and really live it to the full extent. And it seems like you've made your health a giant priority. Just something I've really admired about you. And yeah, I mean, aren't you doing 75 hard right now, or am I thinking of someone else? No.
No. But I am doing a year-long transformation just to kind of see what does it look like from January 1 to December 31st to see if I follow a program, if I follow a diet, what kind of changes can I make? And this kind of goes, the fitness aspect kind of goes back to during my academics. Because when I was balancing school, work, and dialysis, well, health was number one. Health was the thing that took the precedence. And someone gave a piece of their life so that I may live. Again, it's a very Christ-like analogy. But why would I squander that? It would be an insulting, I don't know if it's a HIPAA violation, but my donor's name is Nikki. It's not a HIPAA violation, but
we're not telling on you.
Okay. Health is one of those things where it's still a priority. Because I want this body to last as long as possible, and her gift and her decision, because it's a permanent decision. This isn't a lease. This isn't a guarantee. This isn't a, hey, you can have this. You can't enjoy this life. You can't enjoy these experiences for 3 years and then you got to give it back. This is, I don't view fitness for an aesthetic thing. I don't view it as a way to get a PR on things, which sure they may happen, but at the end of the day, it is so that Nikki's decision, she never regrets it. And it puts me in a position where I can perform at a high level. I know what it's like not to. I know what it's like. I know how good life is now and how bad it was before. Why would I want to go back to that? And so I'm over 5 years alcohol free. And I never had an issue with alcohol, but I was just like, you know what? During COVID, I saw it as something that I would look to as a crutch and would cause me to make poor decisions, because with uncertainty, there's no clarity. With no clarity, there's no direction. And so there's fantastic non-alcoholic beers, but yeah, no alcohol for 5 years. Okay, that helps my kidney function just a little bit better because my medications are able to be absorbed just a little bit better, and I don't have a hangover. So in the mornings, I'm able to be productive. And these are all these little tiny domino effects of having fitness and health be a priority, and also show others that, hey, this person took a second chance at life, is making the best of it, making the most of it, because maybe one day my friend or relative or I will be in his position, and I want to know that what's possible after. In a time of uncertainty, let's have a little bit of clarity, and maybe by the things that I do and the life that I'm able to experience, someone like yourself or somebody who's listening can see that and maybe decide, hey, I can donate part of my life and give this person an opportunity to do anything. Because there's no guarantee. She didn't give me a kidney, say, okay, now you got to go back and earn your degree and you get to go find your love of your life and you get to start a family. This was just like a blank slate, blank check that I was given. And if I can just exercise a little bit, keep my body in shape, keep my blood pressure down, who knows how long this thing can last.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's incredible.
Amazing, JT. It's incredible story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you could go back and erase the transplant experience entirely, never face that suffering, never carry that story, would you do it?
So going back,
If you could go back in time, would you erase the suffering and all of the stuff that you went through? If you could.
no, I would go through it 1,000 times again because of how loved and appreciated and supported I was during that time, and just the experience that I was given.
Well, and how you've come out the other end.
Sure, I wouldn't be who I am today without that experience. And again, there are lessons that can be learned from what I've gone through, and somebody doesn't have to go through what I did to see the lessons and the mindset and what it took to get through that. Because who knows, somebody might have their own dialysis or their own transplant experience that's, hypothetical, or their analogy that's saying, okay, well, if I could just focus on the present, if I just stick with this, if I don't give up, good things are going to happen. So yeah, I would go through it 1,000 times, 100%. If it led me to, meeting the love of my life, earning a degree, and ended up sharing my conversation and on this show, heck yeah, because you guys are part of it too.
Right.
Spoiler alert.
Well,
we're happy to,
yeah,
man.
we're
This
happy
has
to be
been
a part of
great.
it. Yeah, this has been awesome. Well, JT, before we get you out of here, is there anything we didn't get to that you wanted to chat about? Is there anything you want to ask us?
Both, actually. So I want this to be, nowadays, a lot of people get their labs done, maybe it's for hormone balancing or therapies and things like that. One thing is that on those lab results, you can look at your creatinine, and that is an indicator of kidney health. So for all the people because I'm sure that you guys maybe, have experience or know somebody who does it, whether they go through Summit or New Age or whatever.
We do. New Age.
So yeah, New Age.
Going there to pick up my prescription after this.
Yeah, they're a great group. They're a great group of people. So I would say for the people who are young and who have who their health isn't on their radar, this is something that can something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, go get
absolutely.
checked out.
Yeah,
Get checked out. It's worth.
There's plenty of places.
The $100 that you're going to go spend,
Yeah.
like to have just to have that clarity that you're like, hey, okay, everything's working as it should be. Well, I'm good. But
No.
if it's not, then you need to know about it.
And I'll be honest, I mean, once I got out of baseball, got in with my primary, once a year we're doing blood work and they're just sending me the results, not really explaining anything. But then, being with New Age and it's actually right around a year, right?
Coming up on a year,
right
yeah.
on a year that we've been doing it. And I've had my blood work done 3 times, and each time they sit down and they detail and go through absolutely everything. And so I would recommend going to one of those clinics that's actually going to take the time, sit down, and explain everything in detail.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't getting that from my primary.
Yeah, we're big fans of Rocky and the guys at New Age.
Oh, yeah.
They're
awesome.
They're awesome people. So if you're local to St. Louis, or I know they've got locations in Florida, I think. as
Florida,
well. Yeah,
Kansas City.
Kansas City. Yeah, go check them out, or go find a good one. I'm sure there's one. They're everywhere. So,
Yep.
But if you're here locally, New Age is our people. So,
Oh yeah,
got to shout them out.
for sure.
yeah. So yeah, it's again one of those things where if it wasn't on my radar, it can be on your radar. Something to keep an eye out. Because kidneys don't cough. That's
Kidneys don't cough.
Kidneys don't cough. So then, early detection, early treatment, early intervention can save you from a lot of time, a lot of frustration and anger.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
for sure.
Awesome. Well, this has been awesome having you in here, JT. We've really, really enjoyed it. We appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come in here and sit down and chat with us and get your story. But we end the show the same way every time. So before we get you out of here.
Yeah, and this might carry a little bit more significance for you since you had, you told us your 3 encounters, but I'd like to play a game called the Tombstone Game. Here lies JT. What's it say on your tombstone?
It's on my tombstone. Here lies JT.
Not John, JT.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Better say JT. Or
I'm getting my money back.
Yeah.
Here lies JT. Gosh, I don't know.
I know it's
It's
a
a
hard
tough one.
it's a you know
We
some
get- we
people-
get-
We'll be on yours.
We get funny stuff. We get serious stuff. We get the generic. So mine would be basically loyal husband, father, and friend. Someone that could always be counted on and depended on when needed.
Boy, mine changes every time.
Yeah.
I always come up with it on the spot because I never remember what I said the first time. Loyal father, husband, was there when people needed him, dependable, and friend to all.
Ooh, I like the front all. Here lies JT Thomas. I'm going to copy your guys a little bit.
It's fine.
Go for it.
Loyal father, loyal husband. Sorry.
Yeah.
Devoted father. And he did it the right way.
Perfect.
Love it. Well, thank you again so much, JT, for coming in. And thanks to everybody at home that watched or listened to this episode. If you haven't clicked that subscribe button yet for us, please do so. Pat and I have a goal to get to 500 subscribers on YouTube for the end of 2025. So help us to hit that goal. Hit that subscribe button, click that like button, comment what you thought below. We will see you next time.